Magnus Carlsen played against Richard Rapport in round 4 of the World Rapid Team event, and it was a Caro-kann by Rapport. After takes the exchange Caro-kann, it looks like a regular position and it might lead to a draw, you would think. But then in 23 moves total, 23 moves, the game is over. So, how did it end so badly for the world number one? Knight f6, h3, one of the main moves. Knight c6, c3, e5. One of the drawbacks of h3, right? It allows e5 for free because the knight is not on f3. Takes, and now queen e2, pinning the knight. Knight e4, unpinning it, threatening, not threatening, just trying to play knight take bishop. Bishop b5 by Magnus. Rapport plays bishop d7, and now knight f3. White is ready to castle, so all looks fine. Bishop e3, bishop d6, knight d2, and castles. Here, the main move would be just castling. Right? Castling short, even long is fine. Magnus decides to play takes, and rook d1. Even after takes, castling long or short was fine. This was a slight error. Let me switch on the evaluation. Just a second. The evaluation bar. Okay. So here, the problem with rook d1 is now Magnus cannot castle easily. The option to castle is no longer there. Why, you might think? Castles, knight f4 is a slight problem, but queen can move, you might say. If queen moves, just sacrifice. If you take back, this is overwhelmingly good for black. Everything is coming. Knight g5 is even the threat because queen h2 will be mate if the knight takes. If bishop takes, the queen hangs. But wait, no, yeah. So that is one of the threats. Rook e6, rook g6. Rook h6 not the rook g6 is a threat. So this sacrifice is deadly, which is why castling would be going right into disaster. So in the game, Magnus played knight takes knight. Rook takes back, and now can we castle? He goes knight g5. This is the main moment of the game because from here the position just becomes comfortably good, even winning for black. Practically winning. Engine would still say just a slight advantage. You can see it's minus zero point 0.6, but practically becomes really good. The option here would have been to castle, but it's very difficult to castle even here because knight f4. And if you move the queen, now there is one less attacker and the queen is slightly more active, but the sacrifice still works because pawn takes, queen takes is just deadly. Rook g4 is lights out. So you can't take, you'll have to play king h1. And now the position just becomes good. If you go back though, there is takes, and takes. This position is, sorry, bishop takes, let's say, and then takes. This position is okay for white. So knight wouldn't go back. d4 looks good. And now bishop takes, the position becomes crazy. Queen f5. Trying to play queen h5. For example, here bishop e5 is a move, bishop g7 is a move. Trying to get rid of the attacker. If bishop takes, there's mate. So you can't do that. If rook takes, I believe you can just take the bishop. Oh, white is even better here. Queen takes bishop, I believe. Let's see what is the computer's best line here. Just take the rook. And after bishop takes, wait a minute. There's mate, so bishop cannot take. Queen will have to take and then queen take bishop. Let's go back. So after bishop e5, queen h5. And now if queen takes bishop, knight f4. But then knight h2 and things are still okay. Rook takes, there is no mate because rook blocks. You can play rook e1, it's just equal. White is up, it's not even a pawn up, it's just completely equal. So everything fizzles out. So knight f4 and even d4 both will lead to equal positions, but it's very scary for white to go for it, like going for this position. Because going for this in a rapid game requires a lot of guts. Like king here, bishop into d4, queen f5, Bishop e5 is important to find. If you don't find bishop e5 or bishop g7 in our calculation, you wouldn't go for this line, right? So in the game, castling didn't happen because of the line we just saw. Magnus went for knight g5, counting on the fact that if the rook moves, white can just castle without any problem and the queen has a good square. But there was one thing that he overlooked. Is it knight f4? Knight f4, his plan is queen f3. That's what happened. But what did he overlook in this position? Again, if the rook moves to any square, just castles and white's golden. Everything is fine. But Richard Rapport found queen b5. He had already calculated all of this. He was playing every move instantly. If you see, this move was played with just 2 seconds. Wow. Where are we here? 2 seconds. He took a long thing in the 14th and 15th and the moves before, 14th and 15th. And now 16, 17 just came instantly. That's confidence. G3, the point being, if you take the rook, pawn takes and the queen can't move away. There is mate if you take the pawn. If you go to G4, H5. The queen is no longer connected to E2, so you'll have to give up the queen. So that is the problem. So you can't take the rook and you can't castle. So what do? You have to make space for the. You have to kick this knight away. This is the problem. And knight d3 is also somewhat in the air. So pawn g3, Rapport plays f6. Very nice move. Takes, 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 and rook f8. Queen moves. The position is completely out of hand. The engine's best move in this position is queen takes rook, which is anyway losing. Queen g2, and now rook comes back. Another nice move. Threatening to sacrifice at the right moment. Queen f1 and queen b2. And here, after playing rook d2, Magnus just resigned because the end is near, just captures, sacrifice time. Rook takes back, and everything comes crashing down. If you block, there is mate. This is checkmate. And if you don't block, where do you go? You move the king, it's mate here. So Magnus resigned after playing rook d2, and it was a great win for Richard Rapport. So with that win, not just with that win, his team won 5-1 against one of the strongest teams, if not the strongest in the world rapid, against WR Chess team. Chessy won the fourth round with a heavy score.